This video is going to talk about how to defeat other classes as the Reaper. This is the first of the series. I will try going through every other class after I'm done with this Reaper. So if you want to understand how to play the Reaper, this is not the video. If you do not know anything at all about the Reaper, this is not the video for you. Please check out the other guide videos I have made. Just search on YouTube and definitely you will see my channel. I've made more than 500 videos on this game by now. So if you're looking for things like the right stats and everything for the Reaper, please check out my guide videos and stuff. Those will help you out understanding the Reaper, the allies to use and everything. This is basically a combat guide for the Reaper. So we're going to start the video right now, and the first thing you need to know as a Reaper is rotations. Rotations is very important, and to understand rotations we are going to break down your fighting and your combat into three different stages. The first will be your entry rotation. That is how you start your duel. Do you start it with the chain skill? Do you start it by just teleporting to your opponent and spamming attacks? Or do you start it with your clone? So there are a lot of ways you can start this. You can even use your invisibility and stuff. But first thing I will advise you guys is to never start your battle as a Reaper with three skills. First of these is with your Shadow Raven. Do not do that. Do not start with this skill. Next, do not start with this skill as well. It's a terrible idea for you. You leave yourself wide open. And finally, never start your duel with Grim Sight. So those are the three skills I would advise for you guys to not start with. Again, I'll stress, do not start with these three skills unless you are actually a master with the Reaper class. Then in that case you can start with them, because that means you have a plan. You do know what you want to do next to rectify any inconvenience those skills will bring to you. That is why I said to understand rotations we're going to break down the skills or combat into three sections. I just explained to you guys the beginning. The middle stage of the duel is how after the first encounter you make sure you keep your health while reducing your opponent's health to as close to zero as possible. Now within this stage your rotation is going to matter, but most people will just end up creating the clone and fighting their opponents while they have a clone, so they can switch with the clone. It's a little more difficult now since the Reaper's clone have that stuff that can make people know which one is real and which one is false. But most people don't know that, and an easier way to counter that is by going close to your opponent. That way they won't be able to easily see the difference up above you. But that being said, that is the middle part. So the main combo people use here is just teleport to you and attack, and then teleport away from you and quickly undo the damage and rinse and repeat. That's basically a simple or essential stats that you should know as a Reaper. Now another thing you can do in this middle stage is probably, and this works best against Illusionist, is immediately the duel starts, you're going to teleport to your opponent after doing this basic startup. So let's imagine we've done all this. So now you are in the middle stage of the duel. You're going to go invisible. After going invisible, you're going to count and immediately use a skill right here. You will go invisible again. You see it at the 84th second, you go invisible. So that skill could be chain, and after that you could switch and use this and probably go invisible again at the 74th second. So that is another way you can combo in the middle stages. This way you are negating damage while still dealing damage to your opponent. And finally, the final stage or the ending combo. This it depends on the health. If your health is very low, your strategy or rotation will be different depending on that. Most people, if their health is low, I would advise them to just make sure they never face their opponents without having this clone skill on cooldown, because they will die. At that point, Shadow Raven isn't that useful anymore, so you can end up using this for distractions, especially against the assassins. So while the assassin targets your clone with their Dark Hunt mark, you are free. So those are the three stages of a duel, and I've explained it to you guys. So now we are going to go into understanding how to fight every other class with the Reaper, including fighting your fellow Reapers. We'll start from the Soul Dancer, and I'm going to show you guys clips about this while I'm actually doing the strategies. I think I still have some clips, but if I don't, I will just say it to you guys and demonstrate it. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. So the Soul Dancer is kind of the easiest to defeat with the Reaper. So all you want to do is, depending on your beginning, you can use any of these stuffs I've mentioned. Just teleport to them, use Minefield and start spamming. But first, I won't advise you use your minefield. I'll advise you just check it out and see if they actually use their EX, because that EX gives them a high cooldown, and with that cooldown they can spam their skills a lot, especially a Mark of Azure and the bubble skill, so they can spam all that. Now what you just want to do as a Reaper is make sure you have your super armor from dashing or your super armor from switching into your cat's form. So if you have this, you should be fine. Basically just do the normal rotations I've mentioned, just keep all of this on and you'll be fine. The Soul Dancer is pretty easy. Minefield or Holy Judgment will help you against the Soul Dancer, but if you've not unlocked Minefield or Holy Judgment, especially at the lower levels, it will be a little difficult. But you should be able to kill a Soul Dancer with I think 100 more rating, 100,000 more rating more than you at the level 100. But from the level 120s upwards, that will only get higher and crazier. Like now I am certain I can kill or defeat a Soul Dancer that is at least 300,000 ratings stronger than myself. It will be difficult, but it is possible. It's not be impossible like before. The main thing is just to avoid when they start spamming. When they do that, just go invisible and wait it out. In about I think 20 to 21 seconds they will run out of their super cooldown reduction state and you can continue to do. Yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but it is what it is. Now for the Gunslingers, it's kind of like the Soul Dancer. All you gotta do is the same. Don't bother with the chain in the beginning, just spam as much as you can. You can use your minefield if you want to. It's not a must in the beginning, except if they are not in their super armor state. Then definitely make sure you use your minefield before you start spamming. So you need to have quick reflexes as a Reaper. Now the main thing you gotta keep an eye out for against Gunslingers are those bombs that drop on the ground, and the second thing is the missile or is it satellite skill that homes in on you. So what you want to do against that skill is basically just go invisible. Yeah, and it won't hit you. So that's what you gotta do. Make sure you are invisible and that skill will hit you. You can either use your EX, but if that is on cooldown, you could use Raven, do this and switch within this and stay invisible. If you stay invisible, that satellite will not be able to home in on you, so you've just basically rendered that their big damage skill useless. Another thing you can use against that is create a clone, teleport and switch with that clone, stay invisible. Again, that satellite skill will not deal any damage to you again. Now of course their pulse bomb skill, that's their number one skill for Gunslingers, is quite damage dealing, but that's why you should always have this Raven on cooldown or close to cooldown when you face the Gunslinger. Another reason why I said you can just go crazy in the beginning and deal as much damage as possible to them, because unlike the Gunslingers, us Reapers can undo the damage we receive, but they can't. Keep that in mind. Now this will be your first problem as a Reaper, that is an assassin. Assassins are actually a natural weak point of the Reaper, so yeah. So basically what you want to do as a Reaper is figure out your tactics against this assassin. There are some assassins basically at the higher levels, they focus on CDR, which means they can stay in their crystal coffin almost throughout the entire deal. And there are others that focus on damage dealing. Mainly it's the whales that are focused on damage dealing, and the medium spenders or so, or the annoying ones, focus on the crystal coffin because they can just wait out the entire deal. So what you want to do now is either deal as much damage as possible within that short time, or this is the second strategy, just play it out, be patient. You will have to be patient a lot as a Reaper. Now if you want to deal as much damage as possible, you always want to make sure you have your clone with you, and just basically time it out. Most assassins will either start with their EX Void to go on the ground, or the other skill that throws a stuff at you that can enable them to teleport to it and deal damage. After that they will either use the Crystal Sonata and then switch and deal damage. That's mainly the rotation most assassins will use. So you want to counter that, and the best way to counter that you need to go head on against them in this scenario. If you are facing an assassin that's dealing a lot of damage or is DPS focused, you want to go focus head on them and bait them out into attacking you so you can damage them. How to do this is immediately the deal starts, teleport to them and start attacking, but keep an eye on them, make sure that they are not immune. If it shows immune, just teleport away before they can get too close to you and wait for your cooldown before you can engage them again. And rinse and repeat, deal as much damage as you can, but in this scenario make sure that you deal damage and you change teleport away when it's at 1 second. You teleport away and undo the damage, so every damage the assassin has dealt to you will be removed and you have dealt a lot more damage to them in that case. This is against assassins that are DPS focused. Against assassins that are trying to bite time and focus on crystal coffin. So how you go about this is it's basically up to you. I can't necessarily give the best advice for this because I haven't fully tried it out myself. So this is a work in progress. You will have to wait for me to test it out in arena or in a 1v1 to make sure that it works. So there is that. Now, a tip I'll give to you guys is, apart from the normal strategy I just mentioned, when your health is low against an assassin, Shadow Raven isn't going to be that helpful to you anymore. So you will want to use it as a decoy. I've done this a lot in arena. So you can watch some of my arena videos, especially the ones I faced assassin, and you will see when my health is very low. When we're about to go head on, I started with this. So whenever they switch to their dark state, it will be my clone that it will be on. But now with that shiny stuff, it's not that great anymore. I don't know why they are nerfing Reaper when you have classes like the Shadow Fencer and Visioneer. They are breaking the freaking game. This is weird. Now if you guys' health are both very low, then this is a last resort judgment, because if you guys' health are very low, you only have one chance to use this. So be careful, guys, be careful, because assassins are your biggest weak point. Now of course the Blademasters aren't really that much of a problem for the Reapers. It only becomes a big deal when you are using the wrong talent. That's something like using cat enhancement here instead of destroying chain. The Blademasters are probably going to destroy you. Then also it becomes problematic when you use the wrong EX against the Blademasters, like Minefield. Do not use Minefield against Blademasters, especially if they have Void on. They will dodge a lot of it and deflect a lot of damage back at you. So you'll be dealing damage to yourself instead of the Blademasters. Now the EXs I would suggest for Blademasters will be Holy Judgment, Judgment itself, and Royal Fire, and Dustbuster. You could use any of these EX against the Blademasters, especially Judgment when their health is quite low. That will help you win the duel, because most Blademasters they become a lot difficult to defeat when their health is very low. So that will help you finish the duel. Now the rotation you want to use for the Blademasters, do not bother with chain. Do not bother, because you'll be running from them most of the time, and do not try facing a Blademaster head on. You will lose most of the time. They deal a lot of quick, fast, big damage. So yeah, keep away from them. What you want to do is teleport and use this. You can either use this or you could create a clone, and both of you can fight the Blademaster at the start of the duel. But I like keeping my clone for the next round, because after that first rotation I like undoing damage. After I've removed the damage, this is on cooldown. If I want to continue quickly, I can use this, create a clone, teleport, create a clone, teleport, and we can fight again. If he attacks me, I switch with my clone. That is the rotation I normally use. Normally, not always, but that's what I normally use. And you see, when that is over, your Shadow Raven is off cooldown. So that is one awesome rotation against the Blademasters. That being said, a higher rating Blademaster will always be difficult for you to defeat. So I would suggest you use the next best thing, environment. Use your environment against the Blademaster. Now, what I mean by this is, in arena you have those pillars. Use those pillars against the Blademaster. In the open world you have your chairs, you have your flowers, you have the trees. You are a Reaper, you can move about pretty easily, so use your mobility to your advantage. Most of the Blademaster skills cannot pass all these. They have to run and jump and chase after you. So yes, this is not a real life battle, and screw it, even in real life I probably will have no problem using any of these tactics, because yeah, only a winner can actually live to see the next day most times. If assassins can spam their CDR crystal coffin, and Blademasters can stun lock you to death, and you have Shadow Fencers that can even stun you when they are not even attacking you, then as a Reaper I believe you should be allowed to use your mobility, your clones, your invisibility, and the environment against your opponent. It's not your problem that they can't use it or they don't use it properly. So that's basically the Blademaster. Use your environment, use your skills properly, just be patient, and you should defeat them. Don't rush to try kill them, because if you don't attack them, the void wears off. Void depends on them receiving damage and dodging the damage. So the more they dodge, the longer the duration of their void skill, which means they can deflect more damage to you. So it's basically just it. Now for fighters, it's kind of the same as the Blademasters. First thing I will tell you as a Reaper facing a fighter, do not target the mecha. Do not focus on the mecha. Those days where you focus on the mecha were when the mecha was not buffed. Right now, you see my health is currently about 107 million. The mecha probably has double my health or almost double my health if I was a fighter. So do not bother with the mecha as a Reaper. Focus on the fighter it himself. But if you are using the Shadow Fencer and all those physical classes, you can target the mecha and the fighter will naturally go closer to you. So as a Reaper, basically you just want to teleport to them. If they are not on super armor, quickly use Minefield. If they are on super armor, use Minefield. Then create a clone and move into that Minefield. Can I use it real quick? Alright, so basically what I said was create this, drop this there, and be attacking them from here. And when Minefield explodes, their super armor is gone and they get stunned. And immediately they get stunned, you want to use Grimsight and stun them again. Now all you gotta do is just connect the chain, undo whatever damage or stay invisible, and use this to try fear them. Always use your Raven. So if that goes properly, you have taken about close to half of the fighter's health, if not more than half. And if they get feared again, that leaves room for another insane rotation that can deal a lot more damage. So yeah, that's basically how to fight the fighter. Immediately the fighter goes into mecha, go invisible. Do not bother fighting them, except if their mecha's health is very low. Then you can try fighting them, but I do not advise you bother fighting them. Just bide your time. Your cooldowns are getting prepared, so you can probably spam it again. And if you play properly, you should be able to kill them. With this method, no fighter lower rating or the same rating than you will be able to defeat you if you play properly and build your stats properly. Fellow Reapers, there is no exact, clear-cut way to defeat a fellow Reaper, because every Reaper's playstyle is different, or almost every Reaper's playstyle is different, and depending on what they use, it can negate or promote your own playstyle. So basically what our advice is you incorporate all of this and make sure you practice as much as possible to increase your reflex. I will have a video right now showing you what I did to a Reaper that is a couple, I think 100,000 rating weaker than myself, although that isn't that much in these higher levels. But yeah, you see he started with the wrong skill, and that just cost him the duel a lot faster. That's why I say you never start with skills like Shadow Recall or Grimsight or the other first one. You never start with those skills as a Reaper, especially against other Reapers, because that just leaves you open for insane amount of damage. And if they combo properly, they can stun you before you can undo this damage. And if a Reaper gets stunned while doing this recall, it's terrible because it goes on cooldown and you do not get any health. So yeah, neither do you get any clone as well, so you gotta be careful with that. Against other Reapers, I will advise you can use any of these EXs mentioned earlier: Minefield, Dustbuster, Royal Fire, Holy Judgment, all this Judgment. You can use any of that, but the best thing you should use against the fellow Reaper is Filth. This will help you a lot, and any Reaper that has faced the Puppeteer will know that is true. Now, apart from Assassins and fellow Reapers, Puppeteers are also the weak point of the Reaper class, mainly because of one skill, and that is the Laceration. That's that bleeding skill. I think, is it Razor Wield or Laser? I don't know. So anyway, what you got to do as a Reaper against the Puppeteer is basically go to your EX, throw away Dustbuster. Yeah, you do not need that, except if they are way stronger than you. But if you are going to use this strategy, you do not need Dustbuster. You need Minefield, you need Judgment, you need Royal Fire or Holy Judgment. Any of 1, 2, 3, 4 is better than Dustbuster in this situation. Now what you want to do against the Puppeteer, first of all, is you want to create a clone, teleport to them, and switch back. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to make sure that they put that bleeding skill on that clone and their Paper Hurricane hits that clone. Now that's one way, that's one method. You don't necessarily have to follow that. Another method is you can definitely go invisible. The same method against the Illusionist, so just keep in mind. Then you want to keep this your skill right now. This your chain is going to link to them, and after that you want to drop this, and once you drop that, you'll go invisible in now. So time this properly, 74 seconds. So at the 75th second you want to do that, and after you've done all of that, you should pretty much have dealt a little damage or baited out that stuff from the Puppeteer. I would advise this strategy because it is for those that have mastered the Reaper class to some certain extent. It's quite difficult. So here is the easiest strategy. It is annoying, but this is the easiest strategy. The first thing you want to do is go to them, and spam. I'll advise you create a clone and spam, but anyhow, just imagine I created a clone before I started spamming. So you spam and deal as much damage as you can, and just like the other class, which is the assassin, before that turns into, I think, 1 second, run away and undo the damage. Now if you have bleed on you, no problem, just use your EX and go invisible. This is the beginning. Now after you've done this, just relax, wait, do not rush the puppeteer at all. You do not rush puppeteers. And next, what you want to do till the end of this duel is make sure this stuff, your undo damage skill is almost on cooldown, like almost off cooldown, and that's the rotation you're going to do till you win the duel. Do not fight a puppeteer head on continuously. You are going to lose if you do that. Trust me, I've tried it. Phantom Sound was strong before, but now it's kind of one of the easiest classes to defeat with the Reaper. So all you got to do now is you can use any of the stuffs I've mentioned, basically any of them. What I like doing is I like going straight to them. If they are not in performance state, I will go straight to them, put the minefield. Make sure you do not switch too early. Do not switch too early, because if you are performing your EX and you switch, it will cancel your EX animation. I'm sure most people would have noticed that in some of my videos or in some of their experience. And if they are on performance state, just keep away from them. You know, leave the clone, let them fight the clone, and you attack them from behind, or you keep away, whatever, it's your choice. And you just wait for your cooldown. Their performance state lasts for about 8 to 10 seconds or so maximum, and you should be able to spam on them, especially once they immediately come off the performance state. Most people do not put super armor on them, so on themselves, so you can just use minefield in that case to stun them and stun lock them. Now skateboarders are one of the easiest and toughest class to defeat because it's kind of weird. They are very easy to defeat before they get into their bow mode, but in that bad state they are actually kind of, you know, vulnerable. So all you gotta do is immediately do starts. You need to deal as much damage as possible. As you teleport into the skateboarder, if they trigger that their skill that helps them run away, then all you gotta do is just put filth on them, so they will bleed themselves. Do not need to chase them too much. This is my favorite strategy against the skateboarder right now. Once the duel starts, I teleport to them, and that's basically it. After that, I teleport away and I wait. Once they come close again, and now you have 2 of them, you have an escape. And if they still deal damage and chase after you, you can always undo the damage. That is the best way against a skateboarder. Now after explaining this, if the skateboarder gets into their bow mode, that is, they can deal a lot of damage to you in this state. What you want to do right now is just use your EX go to wherever that cloud is. Use your EX, be it minefield or be it judgment. These are the 2 EX I will advise for you against the skateboarder. Now for the illusionist, this is one difficult one, but it took me a while to figure out that it was so easy to do. Normally I used to create a clone, you know, teleport to them and drop the clone, but that was a bad idea. It can work if you have a lot of attack stats and stuff. You will notice that in the beginning this is a bad idea. In the long run, if you have a lot of DPS, you might pull it off. So what you do against an illusionist first is you take the duel starts, teleport to them, do not fear them, go straight to them and spam as much as you can, because most illusionists will not have enough fantasy stars. That's that they are charging stuff up here. They might not have enough of it in order to cage you. So immediately you spam as much as you can, teleport away and undo the damage, and make sure you use your clone properly. Now after you've done this first stage, this is very important, you can go one of 2 ways next. You could either go invisible and do that entire rotation I mentioned with the invisibility trick. You can check the video again if in case you've skipped till this part. Or you could actually just face them with your clones. Yeah, so now they should cage your clone and not you, in case you are going close and still attacking them, or you are staying far away. Whichever one is your choice, your clone should be the main focus there. If they cage your clone, perfect, you're free from the cage for maybe a couple more seconds. If they don't cage the clone, then yeah, you might want to implement that invisibility trick, or just tank it up and deal as much damage as possible. Even if they do cage you, it is no problem, because you can just teleport away and undo the damage after the cage has worn out. Or even if you are still stuck in the cage, just undo the damage and stay invisible. Should be safe for a bit. Rinse and repeat, and that is how you should defeat the Illusionist. Now the Floramancer. The biggest threat from the Floramancer is that there are stun skills that teleport to you and stuns you while dealing a lot of damage. So you always want to have super armor on yourself. The poison is annoying, almost as annoying as the Puppeteers. So what you want to use against this class is Minefield. But you want to wait before you start with your Minefield. Do not use your Minefield in the beginning of the duel unless if they are AFK or auto. So what you want to do right now is immediately the duel starts, you create a clone and teleport and attack. Once they throw the flower skill, it's no problem, just teleport away, undo the damage, and yeah. Most Floramancers, after they've lost track of you, they will be tempted and they will fall for it. They will use that skill that makes them teleport to their flower and go invisible, and that is where you get checkmate. You just go to the flower and use your Minefield, throw it there and spam as much as you can, and that is game. That is game. You will defeat almost every Floramancer if you can catch them in that slip up. If you do not catch them in that slip up, it's just a game of cat and mouse of you creating clone and trying to trick the Floramancer. It's basically just that. Visioneer, one of the true broken classes in this game that is just way too overpowered, and I don't see them nerfing it. But they're nerfing the Reapers. Yeah, I'm still complaining. Anyway, the best way to defeat the Visioneer is immediately the duel starts, teleport to them, do not make a clone, spam as much as you can. Do it like the Assassin. Once this is remaining 2 seconds, you want to teleport away, do this and undo the damage you receive. That is what you want to do against the Visioneer. Make sure this is always off cooldown when you face a Visioneer, because you want to always have it to counter whatever they do to you while you are doing damage like this. So whenever you attack them and they use suppression, or that their explosive command skill that sticks to you like a bomb and explodes after a couple seconds and stuns you, you can undo it and be safe. Now that is the strategy against Visioneers. Rinse and repeat with this method and you should defeat almost any Visioneer, except those that are 200,000 rating stronger than you. It is a little difficult at that point because their default attack just deals way too much damage. Default attack, not skill, default attack. It's crazy. And finally we have Shadow Fencers. Now this, I don't know why this class exists. Seriously, I can't blame you guys for using the class. I mean, hey, I would use it too if it wasn't physical. I don't like physical classes that much, except the Blademasters. I kind of like them now. Anyway, I'm digressing. Now let's get back to this, the Shadow Fencer. I haven't truly developed any cut and dry method to defeat this class, but I can tell you guys this. What you want to do against the Shadow Fencer, immediately the duel starts, is you want to go straight towards them and spam the heck out of them as much as you can. And immediately that was 1 second, or is 1 second, you teleport away and undo the damage. Now what most Shadow Fencers will do when the duel starts is immediately you teleport to them or close to them, they will use their EX Sword Realm that can stun you and reduce your endurance. But that is why you switch to this and spam, because as they stun you, once this is 2 seconds, you can always teleport away. The stun won't get to you because you are on super armor. That is how it's supposed to be, but I don't know, it seems the Shadow Fencer can just negate super armor or ignore super armor and still stun you with some passive. They don't even need to attack you to stun you. That's quite weird. So I will advise you against the Shadow Fencer as a Reaper. You could use Minefield, you could use Dustbuster. I favor Royal Fire the most because it prevents me from receiving most of their stun, most, not all. And you could also use Judgment because they are a physical class and they have to come close to you to attack you. So those are the EXs I would suggest. After you've done this beginning process, what you want to do throughout is make sure you do not face them without this off cooldown. Do not. Any single skill from the Shadow Fencer can remove your health completely. So be careful with that. That is basically how to defeat every class in the game currently as a Reaper. You can always check my arena videos to get practical knowledge about all this. I don't know when I will start my live streams again, but probably, hopefully, by next month I should start my live streams again. So you can always drop by and ask me any questions, or you could just drop your questions in any of my comments sections in any of my videos. I read all of them and I'll respond to you if needed, or make a video if necessary. That is it for this video, guys. Please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and as always guys, I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care guys.